has to do with this whole uh, shenanigan around. I don't even know what to call it, right? So now the Department of Energy came out. They said with low confidence that COVID may have leaked from a lab. Now that's a big deal considering that like the narrative before this has been like, no way. Like anyone suggesting that it's a crazy conspiracy theorist. Now they're saying, well, maybe. Then the FBI came out and said it came from the
It's
lab.
most likely,
That's
yeah.
what they think happened.
It would be different if they said initially they said, "Well, we really don't know, so we're exploring all options to see."
Yeah.
But they were so adamant against it, and
So adamant.
that's what the whole irritating part of it is. If you just say, "Look, we don't know yet," in absence of knowledge, we're not going to say necessarily where this
Yeah.
came from. But they sold a narrative, and now they have to walk it back and say, "Well,
Yeah.
okay."
This is what I want to play this just maybe a minute and a half to 2 minutes of Jimmy Kimmel talking on this because I think there's a lot to say about this, so I'm just gonna play this.
We'll just post the rest on our website because we got to keep this show moving. We can't stop and devote a whole show to diarrhea, right, Guillermo?
Right, Jimmy.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Now, speaking of diarrhea, Tucker Carlson of Fox News yesterday. We learned that
Tucker, we love Tucker.
The Department of Energy, you probably know about this, believes with what they described as low confidence that COVID may have leaked from a lab in China. 8 federal agencies now have weighed in with their assessments. 4 believe COVID came from natural transmission. 2 say it was a lab leak, and 2 are still undecided. In other words, we don't know. But the dingbats now see this as some kind of proof that they.
The dingbats.
I know. I love
He's
it.
still saying so. You went from Jimmy Kimmel specifically, right? Jimmy Kimmel specifically went from this is crazy. Only crazy people think that this is nonsense. To well, maybe, but he's still going to call the people who were suggesting it dingbats.
So are you the dingbat now? Are you partially a dingbat, Jimmy? Now to say like, can you come back and say, listen, because I was so on the other side and I wasn't even open at all to the possibility that came from a lab.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a dingbat.
Yeah.
Get the
Well, according to
Yeah.
Kimmel law,
yeah.
he can never be the dingbat.
Well, what's it?
Even though he's
ABC?
a dingbat.
This is a thing on ABC.
I don't
It's
know.
one of the major networks, so I'm sure
Yeah.
they tell him what to say.
They were right, that the virus came from a Chinese leak at a laboratory, which, by the way, it might have. The point is, we didn't know then. We still don't know now. But what we did know is that Trump and his buddies
Why'd you
blaming the
act like you knew?
Chinese resulted
Exactly.
in a great deal of anti-Asian American sentiment and even violence in this country. And that's why it was irresponsible for the president to call it the China virus. But Tucker Carlson apparently disagrees.
This plague should never have happened. It could have been stopped. But people chose not to stop it.
What people? Tomorrow he'll blame the.
This is funny too, because that is true. We know, it's not. I guess to the fucking people like Jimmy Kimmel, their head up their ass, they might think this is a conspiracy theory, but we know that China knew about it for months before they said anything. They let it leave the country.
Mhm.
They knew they could have tried to contain it at least,
Yeah.
but they didn't even try. So
What irritates me about it is everything he said there is like I agree with him when he's saying about we don't know this.
we don't know.
It's
And
I agree with
yeah.
all that, and I agree with the fact that that Trump should have been so much better about how he said different things. He was
Right, he should have called it the dirty China
yeah,
virus.
yeah, maybe he should have added an adjective. No, but realistically, I believe that I believe all that, but this is coming now from people you just think are full of shit. Now you're gonna walk it back and act like you've always
Act
always
like
been
you're
on
the
this.
reasonable
Yeah,
person.
you've always been the reasonable
Yeah.
person in the room.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Spanish flu on Antonio Banderas.
Yeah. Imagine if you're a comedian and all of a sudden your cue card has all kinds of talking points from politicians and foreign governments on it. Don't read it. You degrade yourself and you become complicit in the greatest crime in history.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, the idea that this man that I would be accused of reading talking points from foreign governments, if it weren't so brazen, it would almost be funny coming from this loathsome, un-American Moscow mule.
Wait a second. Why?
Yeah. That's about
Yeah,
where
it's
it
a
is.
good place
So he goes to insult, but un-American.
So because he's on a different side of the aisle, he's on the more conservative side of the aisle. He's an
Yeah, and
idiot,
you
apparently.
think think there's a more reasonable case to say that the person pushing for everybody to take, an experimental, untested treatment for no good reason at all. I'd say that's un-American. That's pretty anti the American people, isn't it? Like that's very anti individuals. Instead of saying, "Oh, maybe you should do this thing," or "I think you should maybe do this thing," ridiculing the people that say, I don't know about this thing."
Like I understand that Jimmy Kimmel's a talk show host,
Mhm.
and he's not a news guy, but they do frame the show where they talk about news, and then they make jokes about it and stuff, and so they do sway cultural perception of different things. So when they're saying something, um, when they're putting out information, it's it's perceived as truth somewhat, at least from
Yeah,
their
some
audience,
people
right?
get their opinions from these sources.
So it'd be different if you said this
Absolutely.
is just an opinion. This is just an opinion piece, or this is just something I think, or that's fine. Like a lot of the stuff that we say on here, we will say that it's our opinion
Mhm.
on something.
Mhm.
We'll present an argument or present some facts that are that maybe are irrefutable, and then we'll state our opinion on that. But in his case, it's nobody can have an opinion other than the narrative that's given to them. So that's where the talking points come from.
Yeah.
That's where Tucker's talking about that. If anybody, I'm sure people that are watching this watch Tucker or are pretty aware, at least because it'd be in the same sort of vein, but you'll know that Tucker just asks a lot of questions. He has a lot of opinions where he'll throw the opinion in there, or he'll make comments that are like sarcastic to say that something's stupid, but they're pretty evident. I think they're pretty
Mhm.
evident. But most of the time, it's like just saying we should question this or we should do this. Whereas the other side,
No
Jimmy
question
Kimmel,
whatsoever.
yeah,
It just is what it is.
it's right. And now he's trying to say that now
Yeah.
we're going to question it.
Yeah, no, like the
It's not where
reasonable
your
people,
first
like
thing-
Jimmy Kimmel's position in the past
Yeah.
was, anyone who came forward and was like, "Oh, you know what? There's a biolab, like basically right across the street from where this virus broke out that was working on, the SARS-CoV-2 viruses, coronaviruses, and so maybe it came from there."
Yeah.
Those people are crazy. It couldn't come from there. What are you, nuts? And then now that it's like now it's coming full circle. It's like, it might have actually came from there. He's got to like slightly walk it back while still maintaining his I don't know, vigor about it.
Or what he
His
thinks is
hatred for the
credibility
people who
somehow.
he believes to be his enemy.
I don't know how these kind of people like him in particular can think that they have any credibility left. Like I think at this point you should just go back to comedy. Just drop the political views on anything and go to comedy. Just stay with comedy. He's a pretty funny guy. Like I like Jimmy Kimmel in the past. I think he's funny. I don't think it's funny anytime somebody's trying to uh, persuade someone to believe any one thing. You just say what's funny. You make fun of things. You make fun of all things. That's why I like things like South Park.
Yeah.
South Park stays right in the middle and makes fun of literally everything. They make fun of conservatives, they make fun of liberals, they make fun of everybody and everything. It's usually topical related, whatever's popular at the time, and they do it pretty well. I mean, sometimes they miss, but
Whatever. You
yeah,
can't hit it
and
all.
that's like comedians. They're gonna miss sometimes. Jokes aren't funny. How many times you said something and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oops, that I stumbled on that one."
Yeah, I would say that like at this point, he's bought and paid for.
Well,
Right? He's got his salary. That's what does Jimmy Kimmel make? 10 fucking $15 million a year?
probably more than that even.
Let's see. It probably comes up right
I would think
away.
it's probably per episode. I would say it's probably somewhere around the
Like a million.
six to 750,000 per episode. I would think probably something like that.
Yeah, but then they'll have a contract.
Yeah,
$24 million a
see what I
year.
mean? Yeah, so
$24
but
million.
yeah, so it's
he
probably
gets-
less because
gets
really,
that contract.
how many shows does he do a year?
I don't know. Do they do it every day?
I don't know.
Or is it
Don't
every
watch.
week?
No, it's got to be. It's like
Whatever.
like a Tonight Show type
Whatever.
thing.
I
Anyways, yeah.
do that show 8 times a day for
Yeah.
$24 million a year.
Yeah,
I do it for a year and then fuck off.
Yeah.
But he's bought and paid for. But like, if he wants to keep that contract, he has to keep an in with the establishment.
Right,
He needs to
right.
say what they want to say, and he can't go against what their narratives are.
Unfortunately, I think that's everybody on every side, though. I think like that would be kind of Tucker as well. I think Fox probably gives Tucker a little more leeway, because he's got such a big
He's
show.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, but I think back in the day, he probably did that. I gotta be honest. I didn't really watch Tucker prior to.
It might have been less serious though
2020, really.
too. That's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know. They might have not pushed so hard for certain narratives in the past, or they did, but you didn't really see it as much, and it was
Yeah.
easier. But
I think it's more that you didn't like. Now news is so in your face. It's in your phone. It's
right,
everywhere, right?
this is the
So,
way it is. It's that way, and those people suggesting otherwise, they're crazy. They're the enemy. They're evil.
yeah.
Which that might come up later in this show.
Yeah.
It's a little
Little teaser?
foreshadowing there. Yeah.
A little teaser for the future.